Hi team, greetings everyone. In our previous session, we saw the concept called as step groups, right? We saw how to create it and how to use the same step group in the automation script, right? So in today's session, we are going to see a new topic called as parameterized step group. So before looking into the topic, let us finish this particular login scenario and then we will move into that particular topic, right? So here, this particular script, and what is the purpose of this particular script? Verify if user is able to log in into Shopper Stack application, right? And I have added a step group here, which will navigate me to the login page, right? So once after navigating to the login page, what I have to do? I have to enter the email ID, password, and click on login button, which will navigate me to the home page, right? We know the application workflow, right? So this is our application. I'll just close this. Now I'll just click on this login button. So here it will navigate to login page, and here I have to enter the email ID, password, and then I have to click on login button, which will later navigate me to the home page, right? So this is my login scenario. For that, in my FireFlink, I have added the step group for navigating to login page. Next thing is I have to enter my email ID, password, and click on login button, right? So for performing those actions, I need to store those elements into my repository, correct? Let me check. Let me go to repository. Let me expand all the pages. So under my login page, I need to have email, password, and login button. So here if you can see shopper login and create account button, only two elements are there. I need to capture the other elements like email ID, password, and login, right? So what we have to do, just go to FireFlink client, go to locator finder. Here give the application URL, shopper. So let me copy paste the URL, just copy and paste it over here. Now it's loading properly. So here if you can see, I'm landing in the login page. So here I have to capture email ID, password, and login button, right? What I will do, start recording, place the cursor on the element, tap, tap, and login button as well. Tap. So I have captured all the three elements, and after entering the email ID, password, and clicking on login button, where I'll be navigating, I'll be navigating to the home page, right? How do I verify it? With the help of home link, which is present in the home page. Did I capture it? Let me check. I'll minimize this. Let me go to FireFlink platform. In my home page, I need to have a home link. Yes, it is already present there. So now, no need to capture the home link, right? So I'll go to FireFlink client. So now I'll just click on the elements, select the elements, click on move, select the project, shopper stack, choose the page. All these three elements belongs to which page? Login page, right? Expand the root page, select login, click on select. Now click on move. All these elements will be moved to the repository, right? I'll just close this, minimize this. Now let me go to test development. I have the elements ready in my repository. All I have to do is go to that particular script, start adding the steps. Just click on this plus. So here once after navigating to login page, what I have to do? Enter input into element. And which is the input which I have to enter? Email ID which I have. Okay, I am going to give an email ID which I have already registered. So this is hard coding. We should never hard code the data. Create this as a variable. I'll just click on create as variable. So here I'll just give it as email ID. I'm using a camel case here, and I will make it as a global variable so that I can use it in multiple scripts. Click on create. So now here if you can see, I have to enter the element which is nothing but email ID text field. So this email text field in login page, this is my element. Select this. Give the if else checkpoint. Click on add. After entering the email ID, I have to enter the password. Enter input into element, same NLP. So input is password, I'll give the password. And we should never hard code the data. If you notice, I have already created a variable called as password, right, in the registration scenario. What I will do, I will use the same. I'll call the password variable using dollar symbol. and I have to check the variable detail now. I'll just click on edit variable, and it's the same password which I'm going to use. So let me keep it the same. I'll just say update. So here this input I have to enter in which element? Password text field. So here if you can see multiple password text fields are there. Password text field in login page is my element. Select it, give the if else checkpoint and click on add. After this I have to click on login button. Click on element. The element is login button. So I'm getting again multiple login buttons. Login button in welcome page. No. Login button in login page is my element. Select it. Give the if else checkpoint. Click on add. So once after I click on this login button, what should happen? It should navigate me to the home page. How do I verify it? I can verify with the help of that home link which is present in the home page. So I'll check whether it is displayed or not. So here verify if element is displayed, and it is asking for which element? Home link in the home page. So this is a shared element which I have made. I'll just select this element. So here it is a verification NLP. So this NLP will return as a Boolean value, which we have to capture with the help of variable concept. I am calling the variable using dollar, and I have already created a variable called as is displayed. Let me select this, give the if else checkpoint, click on add. So these 5 steps will navigate me to the home page, right? So this is my scenario where I have to log in as a user. Now what I will do, let me run this particular script. I'll just go with quick run settings. So here I have to select my machine, and here in the steps, it's already there. I have made that 2 seconds as a default settings. So what I will do, I'll just click on run. So it is saying awaiting client status. Let me sync the status now. Now it is saying running. It means the execution is already triggered. So the execution is happening. It is opening the browser, maximizing the browser. It is navigating to the Shopper Stack application. It has navigated to the login page. Now it is entering the email ID and password. Now it has to click on login button. It has to verify home link, and it is closing the browser. Let me just sync the status. Now the particular script is getting passed, right? So what I will do, I'll just go to the test development. I'll go to that particular script. So these 5 steps will navigate me to the home page as a registered user, right? So what I will do, I will make these 5 steps as a step group, because this will always navigate me to the home page as a registered user, right? So what we have to do, select the steps, and you can just click on plus step group. But before creating this, I have already created a step group in the name of navigate to home page, right? What I will do, let me just go to repository. Let me go to step groups. And here if you can see, I already have a step group, open shopper stack, navigate to home page. So what I will do, I'll just delete this, because inside the step group, if you can see, I have added only 1 step. I have to add the remaining 4 steps, but the same steps I have already added in my test development, right? I don't need to repeat the same thing. I'll just navigate back. What I will do, I'll just delete this particular step group which is already present in my library. Now let me go to test development. Let me go to that particular script, and let me select all the steps. And now I'll just click on this plus step group, and here I'll just give the name as open shopper stack and navigate to home page. So these steps will navigate me to the home page, and I have to choose the library. I'll choose my own library which I have created. I'll just select it, and now I'll just click on create. So the step group is created. right? If I go to repository, if I go to that particular step group section, I will be having both the step groups which I have created. So if I go to this particular step group, I can see all the steps which is present here. Now, the problem with this particular step group is, whenever I use this particular step group, I'll be logging in as a user. Let us consider that user as a user A, right? Whenever I'm going to use this particular step group, I'll be logging in as what? User A, right? So let me go to test development. Now, in the same shopper module, I want to add one more script. I'll just click on this add automation script, and here I'll just say TC002 verify if user is able to log in as user B. I'll give the type as web and I'll just click on create. So I have successfully created the automation script. Let me navigate back. So here, if you can see, under shopper, I have two scripts. One is I want to log in as user A. One is I want to log in as user B, right? So if I click on the second script, now I'll just click on this plus step. And here I'm going to call the step group which I created. Open shopper stack, navigate to home page. I'll click on this step group. Now, will this step group will navigate me as a user A or user B? This particular step group is navigating me as a user A, right? Because in this particular step group, what are the steps which is involved? Navigate to login page, enter email ID, password, and click on login button, verify home link is displayed, right? But this email ID and password, these credential belongs to user A or user B. This belongs to user A, right? Because in my first script, I was using this email ID and password, right? Now, in this scenario, I want to log in as user B. Can I use the same step group? No, right? Because this particular step group will always navigate me as a user A. Okay, what if I want to change the steps? So what I will do, I'll just go to the step group. So here I'll just click on this particular step. I'll go to this variable and I'll just click on edit variable. I will change the email ID. But once you change the email ID, this particular step group, right? This particular step group is present in my other script, right? Now what I will do, I'll just cancel this. Let me just navigate back. So when I go to test development, here in my first script, I have this 5 steps, right? So I will remove this 5 steps and I will add one step group. So what I will do, I'll just click on this add and here I'll just say open shopper, navigate to home page and I will just click on add. This one step will do this entire scenario, right? So I will remove this 5 steps and I'll add this one step, right? Let us assume that, okay, I have removed this 5 steps and I have added this particular step here, right? Okay. Now, when I change the step group value, means when I change the variable value inside that particular step group, what is going to be affected? Even my first script is going to affect, right? If I go here to the second script and if I change the values in that particular step group, open shopper stack, navigate to home page. If I change the variables value of this particular step group, what is going to happen? It is going to affect my first script also, right? Because I have used the same script step group in my first script as well as second script. But I want to be different, correct? My first script should log in as user A and my second script should be login as user B, right? Okay. So what is the solution that we have? Can we create one more step group for user B? Okay, I have only 2 credentials now. What if I have 100 credentials? I need to create 100 different step groups for each and every credential, right? You are getting the problem, right? What is the problem with this particular login scenario? I want to log in as user A, user B until user Z, right? Can I create step group for all those user credentials? See, this is a tedious job. Now, what is the solution that we have? We have something called as parameterized step group. Okay, how do you use that? So here, first let us understand the particular scenario. So let me go to repository. Let me go to step groups. And here, this particular step group, which one? Open Shopper Stack, navigate to home page. I'll just click on this. So here, this particular step group will navigate me to the home page, but as a user A, right? I want to create one more step group which will navigate me to the home page, but as user B. Now, when I want to create a new step group for user B, don't you think I'm going to use the same steps here? I have to navigate to login page. I have to enter the email ID, password, click on login and verify whether I'm landing in the home page or not. The same steps, the same 5 steps is going to be repeated for all the user credentials. Then what is the only change? My email ID and password. Correct? In these 5 steps, which are the only things is going to change with respect to credential? Email ID and password. Right? So now what I will do, I'll just navigate back. I am going to create a parameterized step group. So how to create a parameterized step group? First, you should have a normal step group. This is a normal step group, right? So what I will do, I'll just clone this first. More option, click on clone. So now I have a normal step group and I have a clone now, right? What I will do, I'll just edit this name. Open Shopper Stack and navigate to home page. And here I'll not keep it as copy. I'll just say parameters, right? I'll just click on update. So first thing is have a normal step group. Now this is a normal step group, right? I have just given the name as parameters. Still it is not a parameterized step group. This is a normal step group. I'll just open this. So here this particular step group is having 5 steps, right? So in these 5 steps, step number 2 and step number 3 is having inputs which should be different for every time. Correct? I should be able to give a different email ID and password whenever I use this particular step group. Correct? So in that case, I'll be creating this email ID and password as a parameter. What is a parameter? Parameter will allow you to store the values just like variables, but in parameter, you no need to give the value when you are creating them. When you are using them, you can just give the value. So you are like confusing me, like how do you create a parameter? So here if you can see in this particular step group, let me cancel this. In this particular step group, if you can see, we have this parameter section, right? Let me just click on it. As I told you, when you create a parameter, you no need to give a value, right? So what you can do is just click on this plus parameter. So now tell me what are the parameters that we have to create? 2 parameters, right? One is email ID, one is password, right? Because these are the 2 things which is going to change for all the different uses, right? I'm going to create 2 parameters here. One is email ID, one is password. So let me just click on this plus parameter and here I'll be just giving the name as email ID, email ID. So as I told you, I'm creating a parameter, but I'm not going to give a value here. I'm going to give the type. What is the type of that particular parameter? So when I say email ID, it is a collection of characters, right? When it is a collection of characters, you can mention the type as string. See, we have a string here. Select this. Click on create. I have created one parameter, email ID. What is the other parameter I have to create? Password, right? Just click on this plus parameter. Give the name as password. Select the type as string. String means it is a collection of characters, right? So I'll just click on create. Now I have successfully created 2 parameters. One is email ID, one is password. I'll go to steps now. I have the normal step group. In that normal step group, I have created 2 parameters. One is email ID and password. Now I have to use those parameters in my step group, right? So in my second step, there is a email ID variable. I have to remove this variable and I have to add the parameter. Click on the second step, remove this variable, use the same dollar symbol. See, step group parameter. Just call this parameter. And this is a parameter now. How do I say that? Once you place the cursor, you'll be getting view parameter details, edit parameter, right? Let me just update this. Now I'll just click on my third step. So this password is a variable, remove the variable, call the parameter. Password, this is a parameter now, update the same. Now this particular step group is a parameterized step group. Create a normal step group. Inside that step group, create the parameters and use the parameters in the steps. So now this particular step group is called as a parameter step group. And if you notice something, when I was creating these two parameters, email ID and password, did I give any value? No, right? At the time of creation, I didn't give the value. But when I'm going to use this particular step group, I have to give the value. Okay, what do you mean? I'll just show you. I'll just click on this test development. I'll go to that particular script. So here, I'll just click on this plus step. I'll just type open shopper. So here we have open shopper stack, navigate to home page. This will always log in me as a user A, right? But I want to log in as user B. I have to give this particular step group now, which is a parameterized. So now if you can see, since it is a parameterized step group, it is asking for email ID and password, right? So I'll be giving my email ID and password of the user B. So I'll just see. I'm giving the user B credential and I'll give the password as well. And here, if you notice, I'm entering the direct value. If you want, you can create this also as a variable. So I'll just click on this create as a variable. And here I'll just give it as user B email ID. I'll just create this as a local variable. I'll just click on create. And this one, I'll just create this also as a variable. So I'll just say user B password. I'll just create this also as a local variable. Now I'll just give the if else checkpoint and let me just click on add. Now let me run this particular script. I'll just click on this run button. So it is saying awaiting client status. Let me just sync the status now. So now it is saying running. So now the execution is already triggered. It has to launch the browser. So the browser is already launched and it is maximized. Now it is navigating to the Shopper Stack application. So we have used a step group here. So all the steps are getting executed in that particular step group. Now the difference should be once it is entering the email ID and password, it should enter the new email ID and password which I have entered in the parameterized step group. Now we can observe. So now if you can see, it is entering the user B's credentials. And you just click on login button and it should verify the home link and it is closing the browser, right? So now let me just sync the status. If you can see, it is saying passed. So if I click on this passed status, we can see the script level result, right? I'll just go to the particular script and we can also see the step level result. Since it's a step group, we have to expand this. So once you expand it, you can see all the steps inside that particular step group. Here if you can see open shopper stack, navigate to login page. Even this is a step group, what you can do, you can expand this. So here open browser, maximize browser, navigate to URL, implicit wait of 20 seconds. And it is verifying the title of that particular welcome page. It is clicking on login button, verifying the login page. After that, if you notice here, it is entering fireflinktester@gmail.com, which is the user B credential which I gave, right? In the same fashion, it is entering the password of the user B. Now, what I will do, let me just go to test development. So here under the shopper module, we have two scripts. One is with user A credential, one is with user B credential. Now I have one more credential, user C, right? What I will do, I'll just create one more script, add automation script, verify the user is able to log in as user C. So let me just give the type as web and let me just click on create. So this is creating the automation script. Now I want to log in as user C. I have a login credential of user C, but the thing is, do I need to write the step group or steps again? Not required. I already created a step group, which is nothing but parameterized step group, right? So let me just click on this plus step. And here I have to give the name of the step group. I'll just say open shopper. Here if you can see, we have open shopper stack, navigate to login page, open shopper stack, navigate to home page. Now, if I use this particular step group, will I be able to log in as a user C? No, right? This particular step group will allow me to log in as user A only. Why? Because in this particular step group, we have added the steps for entering the email ID and password of user A, right? So what I will do, I'll just cancel this. Again, let me just click on this plus step button, search for open shopper, and here I have open shopper stack, navigate to home page, which is a parameterized step group, right? I'll just click on this. So once I click on it, if you can see, again it is asking for email ID and password. So which email ID and password I'm going to give here, it is going to take that email ID and password and it will be logging as a respective user. As I said to you, I want to log in as user C, right? So I'll be giving the user C credentials here. So user C credential is user C @hotmail.com. And here I have to give the password. Let me give the password as well. So here this is hard coding. If you want, you can create this as a variable also. I'll just click on this create as variable. So here I'll just keep it as user C email ID. I'll make this as local. Let me just click on create. And this one I will make it as user C credential, means user C password. Let me just click on this create as variable. So I'll just say user C password. And let me keep it as local variable only. Let me just click on create. So here I'll just give the if else checkpoint and let me just click on add. So I can keep it as a global variable also, so that I can access in multiple scripts. So whenever I want to log in as user C, I can use it as I can use those global variables, but I made it as local variable because I just wanted to show you how to use that particular local variables in this particular script alone, right? So only I made them as local. If you want, you can make them as global also. Fine. Now I have given the user C credential. It is the same step group, but now it is going to log in as a user C. Now let me just click on this run button. So it is saying awaiting client status. Let me sync the status. Now it is saying running. The execution is already triggered. Now it has to launch the browser. So the browser is launched. It is maximized and it is loading the Shopper Stack application now. So now it has to enter the user C credentials. See, user C @hotmail.com and the password. Click on login and it has to verify the home link and it has to close the browser. Now I am using different credentials and I am using the same step group. So when you can go for this parameterized step group, when there is a situation when you have the same steps. So here if you can see, verify whether I am able to log in as user A, user B, user C, right? So here all these particular scenarios depending upon the login scenario, right? So here the changes are only the username and password, whereas the steps is not going to change. Whenever I am going to log in as user A or user B or user C, I have to change the credential, right? So that I no need to write the same steps again and again. So we have the concept called as parameterized step group, where you can make the particular step group as a parameterized step group and make use of the same step group for different inputs. When you say my steps are same, but I want to change the input every time, in that case you can go for parameterized step group. And here if you can see, I have not given the numbering for this particular test script. So what I have to do, I have to just click on this edit and let me give the numbering as well. So it is TC003. I'll just update the same. Right. So in today's session, we have seen a concept called as parameterized step group, which is advanced concept of step group concept. So step group in the sense it is going to give you collection of steps in a one single step, like this open browser, navigate to shopper stack, home page, like we have used to read these step groups. So these step groups will help you to avoid the repetition of steps. Parameterized step groups will help you to use the same step groups for multiple inputs, right? So we will see the next topic in next session. Thank you.